At exactly 06:12 hours Tehran local time, the silence across Iran's national defense grid was broken by a single encrypted burst transmission, short, precise, and impossible to misinterpret. Within milliseconds, the command propagated through hardened fiber networks, military satellites, and decentralized relay nodes embedded deep inside civilian infrastructure. The message carried only 3 operational words: full mobilization protocol, execute. What followed was not a gradual escalation, but a synchronized national awakening engineered for speed, confusion, and strategic shock. Across Iran, dormant units began activating simultaneously: IRGC brigades, Basij militia networks, reserve formations, and irregular auxiliary groups, all receiving geo-tagged instructions tied to pre-designated operational zones. Within minutes, thermal reconnaissance satellites detected an exponential surge in human movement across Tehran, Isfahan, Shiraz, and Mashhad, forming patterns that did not resemble traditional military deployments, but something far more complex and deeply embedded within civilian life. By 06:19 hours, analysts inside U.S. Central Command's Forward Intelligence Hub began flagging anomalies that immediately broke from all known mobilization doctrines. Iran was not simply activating trained combat units, it was activating society itself. Residential districts began reorganizing into micro-controlled sectors, with improvised checkpoints appearing at intersections, alleyways, and transit corridors. Individuals with no identifiable military uniform began conducting coordinated patrols, communicating through encrypted handheld devices linked to IRGC relay system. High-resolution ISR feeds revealed something deeply unsettling. A portion of these auxiliary personnel were visibly underage. Intelligence intercepts suggested that recruitment thresholds had been lowered dramatically, integrating adolescents into logistics, surveillance, and territorial control roles. This was not a manpower shortage. It was a deliberate strategic choice designed to saturate the battlefield with human presence and create an environment where distinguishing combatant from civilian becomes operationally impossible. As the situation escalated to 06:27 hours, the true architecture of Iran's strategy began to emerge with alarming clarity. This was not preparation for a conventional war defined by front lines and force-on-force engagements. Instead, Iran was constructing a multi-layered asymmetric defense matrix designed to collapse the decision-making advantage of any technologically superior adversary. The first layer, human terrain saturation, converted densely populated urban zones into living sensor networks where every movement could be observed, reported, and acted upon in real time. The second layer embedded rapid response IRGC units within these civilian grids, effectively turning entire neighborhoods into defensive strongholds where any strike risked immediate collateral damage. The third layer extended outward to the Persian Gulf, where anti-ship missile systems, mobile launchers, and drone swarms were placed on high alert status, forming a hardened A2AD bubble capable of threatening any naval incursion. Simultaneously, a fourth invisible layer activated across cyberspace as coordinated intrusion attempts targeted U.S. satellite communications, ISR feeds, and tactical data links, aiming to degrade situational awareness at the exact moment it would be needed most. By 06:34 hours, inside the Pentagon, the implications of this strategy triggered the activation of a rarely discussed contingency framework, a rapid response protocol designed for scenarios where the battlefield itself becomes politically weaponized. The core problem was immediate and severe. Any conventional strike package risked catastrophic civilian casualties, not as a side effect, but as a built-in defensive mechanism engineered by the adversary. Within just 18 minutes, forward-deployed U.S. assets were repositioned, carrier strike groups adjusted their operational posture, and airborne ISR platforms were tasked with building a real-time picture of an environment that was evolving faster than traditional command structures could process. At 06:36 hours, the air domain became the first layer of response. Stealth fighters launched from a carrier strike group in the Arabian Sea, not with the objective of striking targets, but with the far more complex mission of understanding them. Flying in passive mode, these aircraft began mapping thermal signatures, signal emissions, and movement patterns across Iranian urban centers. But almost immediately, the operation encountered a critical disruption. By 06:41 hours, Iran initiated a coordinated electronic warfare assault, saturating the electromagnetic spectrum with high-intensity interference. GPS reliability degraded across wide Monadic. Tactical data links began fragmenting, and radar systems reported an overwhelming influx of false targets, ghost signatures designed to mimic real units. Pilots described the battle space as a digital hallucination, where identifying a legitimate target became a probabilistic gamble rather than a certainty. This was not simply jamming, it was a deliberate attempt to weaponize uncertainty itself. As confusion spread across the air domain, the maritime dimension escalated with equal threat. By 06:48 hours, sonar operators detected transient acoustic signatures beneath the Persian Gulf, indicating the movement of diesel-electric submarines into forward ambush positions. At the same time, swarms of fast attack craft began dispersing from coastal installations, executing unpredictable maneuver patterns designed to overwhelm targeting systems. Anti-ship missile batteries were repositioned along the coastline, their launch profiles optimized for low-altitude, sea-skimming trajectories that could reduce reaction times to mere seconds. The strategic objective was unmistakable: transform the Strait of Hormuz into a contested kill zone where even the most advanced naval assets would be forced into defensive posture. By 06:52 hours, the full scope of Iran's doctrine became impossible to ignore. This was not a strategy designed to win quickly or decisively. It was designed to deny victory entirely. By integrating civilian populations, decentralized command structures, electronic warfare, and geographic choke points, Iran had effectively constructed a battle space where every potential action carried disproportionate risk. Precision became paralysis. Superiority became hesitation. Faced with this reality, U.S. command shifted toward its most sensitive option. At 07 hours, special operations units were deployed under conditions of extreme uncertainty. Inserted via low-altitude flight paths designed to avoid radar detection, these teams carried a mission that could determine the outcome of the entire escalation: locate and neutralize the command nodes coordinating the mobilization network. Unlike conventional targets, these nodes were embedded within civilian Monadic, protected not just by physical defenses, but by the strategic ambiguity created by the surrounding population. By 07 hours, these units were moving through one of the most complex urban environments ever encountered in modern warfare. Narrow corridors, dense binay, and constant human presence created a claustrophobic battle space where every khutwat had to be calculated with surgical precision. There were no clear front lines, no identifiable enemy uniforms, and no margin for error. Every second increased the probability of exposure, and every engagement risked triggering a cascade of escalation that could extend far beyond Iran's borders. Meanwhile, at 07:11 hours, the geopolitical temperature surged. Regional powers began repositioning their forces, air defense systems were elevated to maximum readiness, and surveillance aircraft expanded their patrol zones. What had begun as a national mobilization was rapidly evolving into a multi-theater crisis with global implications. Then, at 07:15 hours, a critical intelligence intercept altered the entire strategic equation. Signals indicated that the mobilization was not purely defensive. Elements within the network were preparing for outward projection, potential proxy operations designed to expand the conflict beyond Iran's borders. This was the tipping point. Because at that moment, the question was no longer whether war could be avoided. It was whether it could still be contained. In a world where entire populations can be integrated into the battlefield, where technology can no longer guarantee clarity, and where every decision carries global consequences, who actually controls the outcome of the next war? And more importantly, what happens when there is no clear way to win?